You might have heard about this. There's snow and sub-zero temperatures here. Well, I can tell you this, in rural eastern Iowa, snow is 4 to 5 feet high, and farmers either right now or later this evening will or are plowing driveways to make sure their friends can make it to tonight's Republican caucuses. How many will make it, actually, to the 1,657 precinct sites in the 99 counties of the state? Well, that's really the only remaining mystery. Former President Trump is heavily favored to win here tonight. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis readily acknowledge that. The only unknown, if Trump does indeed win, what is the margin between the former president and second place? Two numbers to consider in that regard. The biggest win in a contested Republican caucus here was by 12 points. Bob Dole did that in 1988. The highest winning percentage in a contested GOP caucus here, 45%. President Ford did that way back in 1976. Trump, this evening, could beat both of those historic thresholds. To find out how and why, we begin with our team of reporters, Robert Costa, Navarro, Nidia, Cavazos, and Shaa Mishael. They all join us now. Robert, of course, CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent. Nidia, Aaron, and Shawna are all CBS News campaign reporters. But we begin with Robert Costa, of course. Robert, your sense of where we are and where we're heading this evening here in Des Moines.
It's looking like it's going to be a big night for former President Donald Trump. There's an expectation among all the campaigns that he's likely to win here tonight, though there are always surprises in American politics. What's going to be closely watched, Major, are the margins. Should Trump win, by how much? And can former Ambassador Nikki Haley or Florida Governor Ron DeSantis start to make a credible argument to the rest of the Republican Party that they do have a path to the nomination, especially for Haley through New Hampshire's primary later this month, and perhaps for DeSantis through the South Carolina primary and Super Tuesday coming up in March. But there's no guarantees about what Iowa gives or does not give in the political reality of Republican politics. At times, it can really lift a campaign. But as we saw on the Democratic side in 2020, losing Iowa didn't hurt President Biden on his path to the nomination ultimately. And for former President Trump, it didn't hurt when he lost Iowa in 2016. But this time around, it could underscore where he stands in terms of dominance politically inside of the GOP.
And Robert, I want to talk to you a little bit about that 2016 experience. I was here. According to the last poll before that 2016 Republican caucus, Trump had a 4-point lead. He ended up losing to Ted Cruz by 4 points. In all my conversations with those in the Trump universe, they bitterly remember that loss and have done something in Iowa this time they didn't do in 2016. Organize and organize aggressively, precinct by precinct, identifying people and doing the hard work that wasn't done in 2016. It feels as if that gives the former president an important structural advantage.
And it's more than just the ground game, which is an accurate assessment based on my reporting as well. It's about a transformation of the Republican Party and where Donald Trump stands within it. Think about 2016. He was almost like a new boyfriend coming to meet the in-laws of the Republican Party. The Iowans, the evangelical Christians here, the conservative Republicans, wary of him, not really knowing who he is. Now, not only do they know him, they've embraced him, and he has given them everything they want when it comes to power in the United States. A transformed federal judiciary, conservative justices on the Supreme Court, and conservative social policy across the board. They want that back, even if they have concerns about his conduct, legally speaking, with all of these trials, or about his personal conduct in years past. It's all on the shelf for many Iowa Republicans and conservatives nationwide because Trump provides what they want, a seat at the table.
And Robert, you talked about the importance of the margin here tonight, whatever it may be. How is it important for the Haley and DeSantis campaigns to land that number 2 position? Is it more important for one than the other?
It's all going to be about who buys the argument they're pitching tonight or later tomorrow morning. If Nikki Haley says that a second place that's at maybe 19% is a strong finish, it doesn't matter if we in the press buy it. Do voters in the Republican Party buy it? Do major donors buy it? Do they really start to pour millions behind her campaign? It's going to be about, is there a general acceptance about her finish and DeSantis's finish that keeps them in the race with voters and with donors? Because at this point in the race, they need to have the cash to go through Super Tuesdays, to start to build out a national operation. If you're going to beat Donald Trump, who has his fingerprints all over these state parties and so much grassroots support, you have to start to have a national organization. But you need money for that. Money comes in if the momentum is seen as genuine. We'll see if that momentum is seen as genuine tonight. Should DeSantis or Haley come in second place? And I think there will be a big difference between coming in second place at 15 or 20% versus maybe a surprise 30 or 35%.
All right, momentum. You know it when you see it. Robert Costa, thank you very, very much. I want to bring in CBS News campaign reporter Aaron Navarro now, who joins us from the DeSantis campaign headquarters. Aaron, based on your conversations, what is the mindset, the set of expectations, as you can find them out within the DeSantis campaign?
Well, DeSantis and his campaign have really relied on this ground game, mainly built by Never Back Down, the super PAC that has been supporting him and spending millions of dollars to kind of target at a micro level who they can turn out. And just from texting the precinct captains that Never Back Down has collected, they seem cautiously optimistic that they will overperform the polls and that their voters are energized. Now, this battle has really turned in the recent weeks between DeSantis and Haley for that second place positioning. And while Haley got second place in that Des Moines Register poll, DeSantis allies were quick to point out some of the gap between DeSantis' enthusiasm in that poll and Haley's enthusiasm. And from the precinct captains I've been talking to, they say that what they see on the ground, what they've been hearing from trying to recruit people to come out to caucus for the first time or to caucus tonight, is that DeSantis voters are energized to still support him in this race, despite the narrative surrounding the Florida governor getting worse and worse since he launched in May.
And it's worth a reality check, isn't it, Aaron, that there was a time when the DeSantis campaign thought that Iowa was possibly winnable. They no longer talk that way, do they?
No, we hear DeSantis now talk about how he is an underdog, how he will overperform the polls, but these polls, as we've mentioned, do show former President Trump leading by as large as 30 points. So it's acknowledging kind of how this race has played out. And DeSantis has talked about how he feels he is facing an incumbent in former President Trump and that he has faced some of the legal challenges resulting in increases of support in the Republican base for former President Trump. But now we're just seeing DeSantis really just trying to make sure that he beats Haley here in this state that he has invested so much time and money in.
Aaron Navarro, thank you so very much. We go now to CBS News campaign reporter Nidia Cavazos, who is covering Nikki Haley's campaign. So Nidia, as I said to Robert Costa, momentum, you know it when you see it. What will the Haley campaign define as momentum here once this is all over tonight?
Well, Major, it's exactly this momentum that is at stake for Nikki Haley tonight. You know, we're talking for the past months about momentum behind Nikki Haley, but tonight we'll truly know how strong is this momentum and how much will she be able to carry on up until New Hampshire. Now, as far as momentum, we're going to be looking out for two things tonight. First is, can Nikki Haley solidify her place in second position, as the recent polls have her between second and third place? And two, what we're also going to be looking out for is, can she truly close that gap between herself and former President Donald Trump? You know, she's been saying all along her campaign stops throughout the early states that she is coming in second place in Iowa, second place in New Hampshire, second place in South Carolina. But she always says the exception is, I have one more fella to catch up to. Those are her exact words. And now Nikki Haley has been campaigning through the state of Iowa. Even this morning, I was with her team as she's going from city to city and truly making that pitch to Iowans, saying, if you're ready to move on from the past, ready to move on from former President Donald Trump, then she says she's the true Trump alternative. And in fact, her team is also coming out saying it's now a two-person race.
With the Haley campaign, Nidia Cavazos, thank you so very much. Let's bring in CBS News campaign reporter Shaa Mishael, who is covering Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign. So what is the word from that campaign?
Good evening, Major. The Vivek Ramaswamy campaign is expressing a lot of confidence going into tonight. But if you look at all the polls across the board, Ramaswamy is coming in last. However, their internal data that they've shared with me actually shows him in a three-way tie for second place. So that's what we're really looking out for tonight. If Ramaswamy can beat those polls and expectations, and as he says, shock the nation.
And Shawna, there was a bit of a back and forth, unusual for this campaign cycle, between former President Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy in the closing hours of this caucus. Catch our audience up about that.
Former President Donald Trump actually went after Vivek Ramaswamy on Truth Social because Ramaswamy is saying that he's the candidate that will save Trump. And his campaign is actually wearing T-shirts and sending out mailers that say, "Vote Vivek, save Trump." So Trump saw these T-shirts. It really upset the former president. He says that Vivek has been sly and really going at Trump without directly going at him. And then today, former President Donald Trump also put out another Truth Social post saying he likes Vivek, but he played it too cute, end quote, with the Trump campaign. But Vivek Ramaswamy is actually saying that these interactions do not really surmount to a big attack from the former president. He's saying that the former president got bad advice from his advisors and that Trump is walking back those attacks today on Truth Social.
Rarely said about former President Trump or Vivek Ramaswamy. Too cute. Shaa Mishael, thank you so very much.